What's up, YouTube? Welcome to episode 3 of Average Sports Gamer No Money Diamond Dynasty. Once again, for this episode, I wanted to switch it up a little bit. So, last episode, we talked about how you can build a really stacked squad by just using the Conquest players, just by finishing Conquest. This week, in case you're not into playing the single player modes, I went ahead and made a really solid all silver squad, completely silvers for like every pitcher, every hitter, every position player, all silver players. And I tried to keep it with players under 1,000 stubs, basically. So the only guy that I didn't buy was Will Myers. He's going for quite a bit right now. He's at about 1,500 stubs. If you can afford him, he's actually a pretty solid power hitter. Aside from him, there is D. Gordon, who is almost 1,000. I think I got him for just under 1,000. So if that is a bit more than what you would be willing to spend for your budget squad, then just show you quickly, I would switch him out for Devin Travis instead, who's also very solid. I put him on my bench right now. If you look at his stats real quickly, solid contact, good speed, all around like all right on defense. But if you can't afford D. Gordon, I definitely recommend him. Even if you have a team with some elites and some golds, D. Gordon is a really solid card. I mean, he's the best base runner in the game and solid defensively and really good contact hitter. Then I'll just go back to the lineup screen here. At catcher, have Yadier Molina. I've already talked about him on this channel. He's a great hitter against the right-handed pitchers, and he's one of the best defensive catchers in the game, regardless of diamond, gold, or whatever. So great budget catcher. And as a backup, I selected, and I think this is the smartest move here if for the silver squad, I went with Wilson Ramos. Now, the reason why I went with Wilson Ramos is that he's actually pretty good against lefties. You see there 77 contact and 72 power against lefties. So if you do happen to be up against a left-handed pitcher and you have Yadier Molina coming to the plate, switch him out for Wilson Ramos. Yeah, he does. I mean, Yadier Molina is not that bad against lefties, but Wilson Ramos is still better, so it gives you that opportunity to switch him in, and he's a solid backup regardless. After that, let's move on to first base. Brandon Belt. I've used him already when I was building my squad at first. Really love his stats. Just low 70s for contact, mid 70s for power. Just all around really strong player. He's got some okay fielding, but really at first base, who really cares? It doesn't really matter that much. You just don't want him to have terrible fielding and just bobble everything. So really solid first baseman. Then we already talked about second base with D. Gordon, but once again, if he's a bit too expensive for you, you really want a budget squad, Devin Travis definitely gets the job done, but I would really recommend investing in D. Gordon. He's really great to start off with, having that crazy speed there. Then at third base, we've got Todd Frazier. He's a solid power hitter. You can see there 93 versus lefties and 76 versus righties. And right now with Inside Edge, he's actually got an extra 13 against righties with that power. It gets him up to an 89. So really solid power hitter for third base. I mean, his fielding is not the best, but it's not terrible either. So it's not going to like cost you games or anything like that. 64 speed is actually not that bad. For me personally, as long as it's more than, once you hit the 60s, it's not going to feel slow. I mean, it's not going to feel fast either. But like once you get below like in the 50s and like 40s, then it's just unbearable how slow they go. So I try to avoid those. So Todd Frazier definitely gets the job done. I'll go over the bench later. I'll just keep going with the starters for now. At shortstop, now he's another player here at shortstop that's a bit more expensive. In Troy Tulowitzki, I think he was about like 800 stubs. I mean, obviously it's still not that expensive, but if you can afford him, he's a great silver shortstop there. Now at shortstop, you definitely want to have solid fielding because they're going to get a lot of balls hit towards them. They're all over the field. So 82 fielding, 92 arm strength, 80 arm accuracy, 76 reaction. He's never going to be an issue there. I mean, you'll get errors with any player here or there, but he's really solid. Great hitter against lefties. The rest of the lineup is stronger against righties, I would say. So he's a good counterbalance to that. I like the 78 clutch too, because the clutch actually helps a lot with runners in scoring position. So it's good to have good clutch stat there. So he's a solid hitter. If you can't quite afford Tulowitzki, once again, if you want to go really budget, What I would do then, so I'll go back to third base here, and I would slot in Eduardo Nunez in that shortstop spot. I love Eduardo Nunez for the bench first of all, regardless, because look at those positions. He's a third baseman, can play second, shortstop, left field, right field, can play all over the field. Great hitter against the right-handed pitchers, and fielding is pretty solid. I mean, not as good as Tulowitzki, and he's a great runner. Not as good as D. Gordon. Gets the job done as a pinch runner for sure. And actually, if you can't afford a D. Gordon and a Troy Tulowitzki, I would definitely slot him in, and then he becomes your speed guy instead of D. Gordon, and he's cheaper than Tulowitzki on at shortstop. Moving on to left field now. Actually, I don't know if I have any. Yeah, left field is kind of bare bones as far as the Silvers go. Actually, Chris Davis is not bad. He's not in my lineup right now, but he was definitely up for consideration. He's got solid power against both sides. But I actually ended up having, I think I have 3 center fielders in the squad. So I got Ender Inciarte. Ender Inciarte. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Love Inciarte. Great contact on both sides. Solid vision with an 88. Pretty fast at 80. Definitely solid. And good fielding. And what I did also for all my outfielders, my 3 starting outfielders, all have an arm strength above 80, which really can be a game changer to get those hitters out with those sacrifice flies and all that. And you want at least an 80 speed in center field, I would say. So I like having Inciarte there, and he's a good two-spot hitter, I think, because I do like having some speed there at the 2 spot and a solid contact hitter. So it works perfect for that. Moving on then, we talked about him last episode. I love him, Jurubel Herrera. He's another guy like Nunez who can play all over the field, the second base, shortstop, and all outfield positions. So that's good to have in case of injury if you need to slot him in. Right now he's looking amazing against righties because of inside edge. He's got that's 98 contact. It's almost perfect contact against righties and pretty solid power also. Also an okay base runner with 81 speed, so that's not bad at all. And then on the bench, I've got Billy Hamilton, who is the pinch runner extraordinaire. He's a perfect base runner. You can't really. I think I said earlier D. Gordon is the base runner in the game. He's actually not. Billy Hamilton's better than him. Billy Hamilton, unfortunately, though, his hitting stats aren't really up to par. But as a pinch runner, even if you want to bring him in just for bunting, I mean, I know bunting kind of sucks this year, but you got to think that with 99 in both spots, he'll at least be able to get it done. And he's a great fielder if you have an injury for him to come replace. And he's dirt cheap too. He's dirt cheap, so he's definitely worth having on the bench. That's it for center fielders. Then up to right field, we've got JD Martinez. Absolute stud for an 84. Like, he plays like a gold for sure. Look at those stats. 80s for contact for both righties and lefties. 74 power for righties and 89 power for lefties. Absolute monster. His vision's not the best at 44, but with those stats, as soon as you make good contact, it's really going to be a solid hit there. You see there again, like I said, 81 arm strength for my outfielders. I want to be able to get those guys out on those sack flies or on those plays where you know, when you play online, people have those 60 speed guys and they're trying to go from first to home, and I hate when my outfielder can't make a proper throw to home plate because those players don't deserve to get that run. So love having my outfielders with good arm strength and solid arm accuracy also. Now I also have Jose Bautista here. I'm pretty sure I put him on. No, actually, I have Jose Bautista starting at right field, and I put JD Martinez at left field. Like we said, left field is pretty bare bones. Bautista, once again, has a very, very solid arm in the outfield, and look at that power, 86 power against both sides. He's clutch to 81, talked about that before, so great with runners in scoring position. Just a solid power hitter for a silver, dirt cheap once again, and that arm strike is going to get those guys out, so that is solid. What I would have done if I would have afforded Will Myers, even though he's a first baseman, he's eligible to play in the outfield, all 3 outfield positions, so I might have slotted him in for Jose Bautista if you can afford him. Like I said, he's going for about 1,500 stubs right now, but Jose Bautista is like his speed and his contact is not like, it's not bad either, but it's not quite as good as Will Myers. So I might have switched him out for that instead. But I do like Jose Bautista at the right field there, throwing batters out and getting those home runs. And then moving on to the starting pictures. I actually haven't had a chance to use a lot of these because, as you guys know, you don't really get to pick your pitchers when you're going out. So I've pitched with Aaron Nola and Carlos Martinez. Last episode was Carlos Martinez. Really liked him. He was really solid. Aaron Nola he's more of a breaking ball pitcher. I know a lot of people don't like using the low velocity guys, but if you're good with breaking balls, his breaking ball is his curve ball is absolutely nasty. I'm pretty sure on Daddy Leagues it's got like upper 90s breaking, so that's really solid. Garrett Richards, another solid silver. He's got more velocity at 90, so that's always great for an 83 pitcher there. Lance McCullers, also very solid all around. Like I said, I haven't gone to use these yet, so some of these I might not enjoy playing with as much, but great stats, and for their price, definitely worth a shot. Now, the bullpen, honestly, looking at the bullpen, there's plenty of these guys are in my main squad already. There's some really, really, really good silver bullpen arms out there. You got Joaquin Benoit, who has some solid velocity at 83 and 99 breaking ball. So I love that. Like I like to switch it up from fastball to slider a lot. So that's always great to have with a pitcher. Unfortunately, he's pretty low right now because of the inside edge at 79, but he's usually an 83. So he's actually pretty solid. Brett Cecil, he's probably one of the more average arms I have in my bullpen, but lefty there's not as many options, and he's still pretty good. Probably wouldn't end up using him that much because he's probably the 7th guy on my list. So unless I go through both Tony Watson and Sean Doolittle, he probably won't see much playing time. So Tony Watson and Sean Doolittle, both awesome, both have solid velocity. They're two of the better left-handed like closing pitchers or relief pitchers in the game. I really like both of them. Edwin Diaz, super underrated at 83 with the 89 velocity, 82 breaking. He's just great to pitch with. Carter Capps, another one who's an absolute monster with his 91 velocity. He's pretty popular in the community, so most of you probably already know about him. And then Sean Kelly, who I actually haven't used, but he's got really solid stats with a 94 breaking and hit per 9 and K per 9. So I put him in there to try him out. Those stats look like they'll definitely be worthwhile. So yeah, there you have it. That's an all silver, dirt cheap team you can build for yourself. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily have to build an all silver team, but it's a good idea to show you like every position has someone that can play and cover a spot that you may not have covered already. Also, it's good to keep in mind because we already got the bronze event. We're definitely going to get a silver event eventually. If you have any comments about silver guys that I might have forgotten, maybe some bronze guys you think would fit right into the lineup, let me know. Comment down below. Aside from that, next video I'll probably try to do some gameplay again with just my main squad. I'm still working on getting some extra players on there, but yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you like what you see, and hope to see you next time.